Hi guys, I'm surprised. People who have just come from Zimbabwe, they're going back. You COS people, what's wrong with you? Life in the UK is hard at first, but you settle later on. It's not going to be like bread and butter when you come in first. You're going to face some challenges here and there, but you soon settle. I'm surprised that some people have just gave up and they went back. Why paying 4,000, 6,000 only to come and go back to Zimbabwe? Why, guys? That's what UK is like. It's like that. I remember when I came, I lived in a dilapidated house. I think it was a junk house. This landlord, I think he had a house that was empty for a long time. A long, long time. And when we came in, because we were looking for a house, he just removed all the junk outside and he just told us to get in. The house was not even cleaned properly. I was sneezing the whole time. I had flu for months. I felt so uncomfortable being in that house. And to add to the shock, I didn't know that dogs stay in with human beings in the house. So another guy came to stay with us. Obviously, he was a UK resident. He had his dog. So when I saw the dog in the kitchen, I was like, oh, this dog, I think it needs to be out. So I locked it out. I made it go outside and then locked the door. The guy was mad at me. The guy went wild. He told me all those nasty things like the dog has got the right to be in this house. I don't have the right to be in the house. I didn't know that dogs live in houses with people. That's one of the shock. But now I'm used to it. Now I love dogs anyway. I grew up with dogs. We had dogs at our home, but these were security dogs. They were not like dogs that we live in our homes. And the dogs that I grew up with were not pets. They were security dogs. They could eat you up. So even though I had dogs at home, I'm still scared of dogs. I was scared of dogs. It took me a long time to accept that a dog can be a pet, and it cannot affect me. It cannot bite me. It cannot harm me. But having said that, we've read in the papers a child has been eaten by a dog in the UK and things like that. So I'm kind of quite scared. So these are the things. I'm just saying some of the things that you find really not normal when you come to UK. And the work situation as well, guys, I hear you. It's not going to be normal for you. The travel is ridiculous. The weather is ridiculous. What else? The bills is something else that will shock you. Because when you come from UK, you'll be in the world of your own and you'll be seeing yourself a millionaire. Yes. You'll be thinking pound. And you see yourself, wow, driving the latest car on the market. But it's not going to happen straight away. You still have to put in some work. Yeah? You have to put in some work, guys. All right. Anyway, let me go to today's business. Another option to come into the UK, volunteer visa, charity visa, or Tier 5 visa, if you like. That's the best visa you can actually use to get into the UK. If that's what you want, if you want to consider that, then keep watching. This visa is very good because it allows you to come to the UK with your family. You don't need the IELTS, and no qualifications is required as well. Okay, you can bring in your family. However, sometimes they can ask you for proof of finance that you'll be able to manage to pay your bills when you come to the UK. If your organization, the organization that has offered you a job, is willing to support you, then you don't need to give all this proof of finance. Okay, and also you're allowed to work 20 hours a week, and then you do your volunteering work. From the organizations that I've looked at, you can work in farms and kitchens, you can work with children with learning disabilities in the community and things like that. This is the type of job that's here. Guys, when you're coming to UK, have an open mind. What you are thinking in your head is normally not what it is. It's even worse than what you think at first, but you settle, you get used to it. We've been there. Okay, so this is voluntary work. There's this organization I've been reading about, I researched about it, so I'm gonna share it with you. I know you've had quite a lot of information about the Tier 5 visa. So basically, you have to be 18 years and above. You should have a valid passport. You should have a job offer, certificate of sponsorship, obviously, TB test. Then I talked about the proof of funds, obviously, which I said if your employer is not going to be sponsoring this, then you have to prove to the Home Office that you are able to look after yourself when you come here to do that, a voluntary work. One thing I like about this visa is that because it allows you to travel with your spouse. So your spouse is allowed to work full time, you see? So one of you is a volunteer, then the wife is allowed to work full time. So if you get this visa, I think it's the ideal one. And the good thing about it is, well, you're allowed to change before it expires. It can range from 6 to 12 months, but you can extend it. The secret to having your visa extended is good behavior, guys. Be a good person. Be a worker. Impress your employer. That's the secret to having a visa extended. That's the secret. Don't be greedy when you come to UK, you want to work. When you're supposed to be volunteering, you are missing, you're working elsewhere. Guys, don't do that. Don't do that. Because I know some of you guys, I know you. Don't do it. You cannot be rich in 12 months in a foreign land. Let me tell you this. You cannot be rich in 12 months. It will take you maybe 1 year to find your bearings within the country that you are, to know where you are, to get things right, to get settled. Right? It takes you that 12 months just to get used to the system. And then after that, things start getting better, things start making sense, So give yourself time. Don't be too greedy. Don't try to be too rich too soon. And most of the people that have come here with that mentality of just wanting to be as rich quickly, they got so sick. So sick that they were not even able to work. Right? So I'm going to go through this organization that I've been researching for you guys. I've been working to help you out. Okay. So this organization, I'm going to go to the volunteer section. And I'm going to go on the overseas volunteers section. Let me go to it. Right. Okay. So there's some questions here that I'm going to read. We're gonna go through them with you so that you know some of these questions. You'll be asking them over and over again. I'm gonna read them out what they're saying to you. I'm not going to memorize them. I'm gonna read it to you. Right. Right. Where do I go? Can I volunteer with this organization if I don't live in the UK? It says all international volunteers need a visa before they can volunteer at this company. Once the company has selected you as a volunteer, they will support you throughout the visa process. Hey, that's good, right? And it says, how do I apply? Once you have been accepted as a volunteer, the community will send you guidance on how to apply for your visa. All overseas applicants require a visa in order to gain UK entry clearance. I'm not going to go deeper and deeper and deeper, all right? So that's that. What will I be expected to do? Right. Listen to this. After your initial induction training, you will be asked to provide support in a variety of forms depending on which community you join. So they've got different communities. You might help out in classrooms, in cafes, in farms, or a wide range of craft and food workshops. You will most likely provide one-to-one support to people with learning difficulties, disabilities or other support needs around dressing, personal hygiene, mealtime, recreational activities, and participation in the day-to-day routine. Okay, this is exactly what is happening with the people who are coming with COSs. This is the type of jobs that they're doing. All right. So you'll be part of the house community. Will I receive training? As a new volunteer, you'll be required to complete a program of induction and training, right? What is the age range? The minimum acceptable age is 18 years, whilst there is no upper age limit. Okay. What is the accommodation like? Accommodation is provided within the community for free, right? I'm not going to talk about the food and all this Wi-Fi. Obviously, there's Wi-Fi in UK. Can I volunteer for less than a year? Communities generally prefer volunteers to stay for 6 months a year. Some communities offer short placements than that. Often this will be as summer volunteer between June and August, where you will be involved in field work on a farm or garden and be part of a house community. Short-term placements are sometimes available at other times of the year and for different tasks. You generally won't receive any significant training and you will not have unsupervised access to residents. Right? Okay. That's it. I'm not going to read everything else because I'm going to give you the details later on. So this is it, guys. We've read the most important parts that we need to know. Okay. So Tier 5 visa is the best visa, I think. Come as a volunteer. You can bring your family. You can come as husband and wife and you work. Probably when one is working, the other one is doing the voluntary work. Or whilst one is looking for a full-time job somewhere on the skill shortage occupation list. And once you get the job, that's your guy sorted. You swap. You're not the dependent and life goes on. How beautiful is that? So life is all about planning as a couple. It's all about planning. It's not something that when you come here as a couple, this one does their own thing, the other one does their own thing. It doesn't work. You just have to work as a team in a foreign land, guys. If there's any other place that you have to be in, operating from the same page, is when you're in a foreign land with your partner, with your spouse, as a couple. Because life can be difficult on your own. One salary cannot pay rent. Sometimes, if you've got a mortgage, depending where, how, the expenses that you have. Because if you buy a house or if you rent a house, you still have to pay council tax. You have to pay council tax. You have to pay the heating, all those things, the food. So one person's rent will be paying for that. If you have children, one person will be working part-time. You can't both working full-time. It is not possible. It's not practical. So when you come to the UK, guys, these are things that you really have to take into consideration. You have to be workers. You have to agree on things. You have to work together. This being said, I am going to round up and say I am going to put the links at the bottom of this page. If the links are not on the bottom of the page, you really have to come. You have to listen to this video because there is somewhere I'm going to add the names of the organizations that are recruiting. Okay, guys, you take care and I love you.